Hello and you're welcome to What the Papers Are Saying. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. Thank you so much for making time to join us again for another edition for this program, which looks at the big stories for the week as reported by the various media outlets. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. When we come back, we'll take you through the stories that made headlines this week. Do stay with us. So you're welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. Let me bring you the stories that made headlines for this week. We'll start with the World Bank report and some stark revelations made by that report. Let's see how that was reported. Let's start with the Daily Graphic, and it says, "Nation needs emergency energy plan." World Bank speaking over there. We go to the Ghanaian Times. World Bank's 7th Ghana Economic Update Report 2022. Ghanaians impoverished due to rising food prices. Still on that story, high inflation pushed 850,000 Ghanaians into poverty in 2022. World Bank report. And then myjoyonline.com, about 850,000 Ghanaians were pushed into poverty in 2022, World Bank report. We move away from that and then we go to some story also making headlines this week. Had to do with government reclaiming its lands and how it's doing that by using a private firm to do that. That has been termed as a land guard. So let's see how that story was reported by various media outlets. We start with a finder. They say Lands Ministry denies engaging land guards to protect state lands. The Informer says Ministry Military Police deny land guard tag. We still stay with that story. We go to the Daily Analyst. We don't engage land guards to protect our lands. Ghana Police debunks report. Still on that story, and we'll go to Citi Newsroom. I didn't say government engages land guards, Chief Director of Lands Ministry. Still with Citi Newsroom, Lands Ministry's inconsistent response to land guards disclosure baffling. Suhini speaking over there. We go to Citi Newsroom and it says, we have never engaged services of land guards. That's the Ghana Police Service. We move on away from that story and we go to the supply of school uniforms and the fact that suppliers haven't been paid for the past 2 years. How was that story captured? Let's go to Citi Newsroom. Free SHS, EduWatch scolds government over debt-owed uniform and food suppliers. And then graphic.com.gh, suppliers demand full payment of debt government owes. Now, another story that made headlines this week had to do with the Accra Sky Train project and matters arising over that project. Let's start with the Chronicle and how they reported that story. They say $2 million payment for Sky Train project was made by GIIF, not real ministry. Gati. Republic Press, confusion rocks $2 million SkyTrain job as blame takes center stage. And then Citi Newsroom, minority takes on government over $2 million pumped into SkyTrain project. Still on citinewsroom.com, SkyTrain project, $2 million payment was made by GIIF, not Railways Ministry. Joe Gatti, the former minister, speaking over there. And then we go to graphic to see how they reported our story. They say Accra SkyTrain, Joe Gata says he did not authorize payment of $2 million for project. $2 million for project. So that's the story to do with the SkyTrain project. We go to another issue that made headlines this week. It made headlines last week as well, and it's still making headlines this week. Has to do with the boycott of the minority in Parliament over what they claim or allege to be persecution of their fellow members in Parliament. So let's see how that was reported. Let's start with the Daily Guide. They say NDC plays hide and seek with Parliament. The Informer says, boycott of Parliament, you are negating democracy, Dan Botry tells Minority. Citi Newsroom, Patrick Boama, the Fiamakpo clash over MPs' absenteeism comments. Still with Citi Newsroom, second Deputy Speaker complains over absenteeism in Parliament. And finally, on the Citi Newsroom, and on that story, we fully support minorities' efforts to stop persecution of NDC MPs, Sami Jefi. So those are the stories that made headlines this week. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, I'll introduce my guest for today that will help us look at the various angles and how those stories have been reported by the various media outlets. Do stay with us. We'll be right back.
Get ready to witness a remarkable fair to showcase the rich diversity, talent, innovation, and mastery of made in Ghana products and services with the This is Ghana Exhibition 2023. Citi TV and Citi FM will allow you to immerse yourself in a vibrant showcase of authentic Ghanaian products and services in the biggest trade fair and exhibition for local SMEs, startups, research and manufacturing industries, homegrown businesses, and indigenous corporate bodies Ghana has ever seen. We shall promote, support, and patronize various Ghanaian products, solutions, and services that are redefining the views on indigenous products and their packaging across all sectors. Join us at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly on the 26th and the 27th of August 2023 at 10 a.m. through till 5 p.m. each day. Call us now on 0205-973-973 for inquiries on how to participate. The This is Ghana exhibition is powered by Citi TV and Citi FM and proudly sponsored by MTN Momo.
So yeah, welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. I'm joined in the studio today by two gentlemen. They've been with us all this while, and today they'll continue to be with us as we look at the stories. Elvis Darko is the news editor for the Finder newspaper. Elvis, welcome again.
Thank you.
And then we have Salam Adono, who is also here with us at Citi FM and Citi TV. Salam, welcome.
Thank you, Vivian.
So, gentlemen, I believe we should start with Parliament because for a week or more, and then if you add this week, the minority have been boycotting the House, especially when their colleagues, that's Jachi Kwesen, the likes of Collins Dowda, among others, go to court with regards to various, cases against them. Now, this week has been a bit heated with the majority leader saying what they're doing is not right, and others have spoken. The Speaker himself has said they have formally not informed the House, and it may mean that they are not going by the rules and terms of being in Parliament. Let me start with you, Elvis. I mean, what is your position on this? Is this a way to go to put across their concerns over their colleagues that are, have to go to court every now and then?
I've always been against any boycott of Parliament. because I have absolutely no reason to have any meaningful reason for anybody to boycott Parliament. You have been elected by the constituents to go and do a job. You are paid at the end of the month for the job you do. If there is any issue in Parliament and you are not satisfied, I'm not sure that boycott is written in any part of our constitution as a part of the duties of Parliament. In the Constitution of Ghana, it's not written anywhere that if you are not satisfied with something that is going on, you should go on a boycott. And so for me, all along, anytime any group boycotts Parliament, I am opposed to it. Let's come to the current Parliament issues. The current issues that they are actually boycotting Parliament over, it baffles me. This is an issue that is before the courts. And the issue is being heard at the High Court. And Kwesi went to the Supreme Court to seek an interpretation. And the Supreme Court has categorically said that the person did not actually renounce his nationality at the time he filed to contest. And at the time to file to contest, the Supreme Court went further to explain their position. In fact, the Supreme Court actually went further to explain what they meant by allegiance to a country. And the Supreme Court stated that as far back as 2012, the issue of what is allegiance and what is defined by it has actually been settled by the same Supreme Court. If the Constitutional Court of the country takes a decision on an issue and says the person has not fully renounced his nationality, for which reason we even have to go for a by-election, and the same person has won, and the person is being tried and on accusation of perjury, and the court is hearing the case, I find it so difficult to understand why any parliamentarians will want to boycott Parliament on behalf of Kwesi. See, these are some of the reasons why sometimes some of us are forced to go hard on parliamentarians. They are there defending themselves. Has any parliamentarian or group of parliament gone on a strike or boycotted Parliament because a Ghanaian is not getting justice at the court? Have they ever gone on any boycott of Parliament because an ordinary person is not getting justice at the court, in their view? It has never happened. But if it is one of them, then they will boycott. So you can really see the message they are sending to the people that we are protecting our own. If it's about the ordinary person, then that's why we don't care. But if it's about our own, we'll go to any extent. Even if it's to the disadvantage of the country, we'll do it because we think we have to protect our own. I don't think that a responsible Parliament that people voted for that go and represent us should be behaving in that manner. I don't think that boycott should ever be any part of the work of a parliamentarian. So for me, I disagree with what they are doing, and I want to tell them that the message they are sending to us, the ordinary Ghanaians, is that they are in Parliament for their own personal interests. They are not in Parliament for us. Because if it were any Ghanaian that is being prosecuted over any issue, they will never come out to defend that person. They will never say they are boycotting Parliament because they felt that some ordinary Ghanaian is not receiving justice at the courts. But when it's about one of them, that one, they find it necessary to say they are boycotting Parliament. And for me, I think that they have to be careful the kind of message they are sending to the people of Ghana and the electorate. If you think that you want to follow Kwesi for whatever reason and boycott the duty for which you are paid, I think that everybody that has boycotted Parliament should not be paid. The money should be deducted from their salary for the number of days that they didn't go to Parliament. It should be deducted from their salaries because they have not worked for it. They are supposed to be receiving salary for work done. If they chose to boycott the work that they have been voted for to go and do, we should be able to deduct the number of days they didn't work from their salary. Because what they are doing is not in the interest of any Ghanaian. It is for their self-protection. is to protect one of their own.
But how
so
else,
they should look.
how else can they put across the message?
What message?
What else can
no,
they
what
do
message?
Of quote unquote
Yes.
claiming that their colleagues are being persecuted and not prosecuted, persecuted?
So the ordinary Ghanaians who are sent to the court, as for them, there's no Ghanaian that is being tried in any Ghanaian court. It's only a member. It's only their colleagues that are going to court. The charges against their colleagues, no Ghanaian is facing similar charges in Ghanaian courts. And if it is ordinary Ghanaian, that one is not persecution. That one is okay. But if it's about them, then it is persecution. Who made a law about perjury in this country? Is it not the same parliament? The law that is being used against Kwesi, which was used against Abu Musa Kandi, is it not the same parliament that made the law? Me, personally, I said, I don't think that Kwesi should be in court on such an unfortunate. I think that people who are stealing public money should be the ones that should be going to court. That is my opinion. But if you fall foul of the law must take its course. So for me, I find it sad that somebody is going to court because of issues of nationality. The person hasn't stolen public money, but the person has just not done what the law says should do, and that's why the person is going to court. And Adamu Sakande was jailed. I have said that after the jailing of Adamu Sakande, we should have changed that law. We should have changed the law, because I don't think that anybody should be going to court because of allegiance issue. The person is not caught leaking any state secrets to any foreign government. The person has not conducted any espionage. The simply fact that you owe allegiance to one country, and the process says you must do this before you can contest, and you've not done it, or you've not completed the process, and then you contested for an election, so you are going to jail. Meanwhile, you have people who have stolen public money in huge amounts, yet they are working free in society.
It's not improving.
They are working free. Please don't see this thing we say that is not improving. Go and read the judgment death report of Ghana and see how we threw away public money. People have been jailed for causing financial loss to the state in this country, right? We are saying that $2 million has been paid for a sky train that we don't even know what the money was paid for. We were told by the Auditor General report that the money is paid for some shares in some company SVP form in Mauritius or whatever. As we speak, we don't know who even initiated that process that we should deal with that company. We don't know those who signed those documents. We don't even know who actually approved payment to that company. $2 million, bring it to Ghana cedis. Let's make it 1 to 10. It's 20 million Ghana cedis. You can't pay school feeding people, you can't pay school uniform, but you have given somebody 20 million Ghana cedis for free. And you are telling me that it can't be proven. What is it can't be proven? Okay. Please, we should not be, we should really be angry and attack the stealing of public money in this country. So for me, I sympathize with Kwesi that he's being prosecuted not for stealing public money, not for espionage, but the fact that he was unable to complete a process. But the point is, if you fall foul of the law, it is the law. I wish that people have been prosecuted for misusing and stealing public money, and then we can recover part of the money to build our nation. That for me should be where prosecution should be focused. But the fact that you broke the law, you broke the law. Okay. And if the people who are in charge are convinced that you broke the law, go to the court and face the court. I don't think that this boycotting MPs have been doing is a message to the ordinary Ghanaian that they are in parliament for their personal interest. Okay. They are not in parliament for ordinary Ghanaians. I'll come back
to you on what can be done to maybe get them back and all that. But let me bring in Selom, who was trying to be mischievous earlier with you, Elvis. Selom, your initial remarks about this thing, it looks like the minority is in for the long, hold on this matter and are not prepared to back down, because every day their statements become stronger in terms of them going to boycott, till their colleagues, the matter change with the colleagues.
Well, let me say that I think that the Constitution in Article 21 talks about the freedom of expression. So in workplaces and many other fora, you are allowed to express yourself in various forms. So at work, you can demonstrate, or you can have a strike. All these are forms of expression to push home demands you want. The tool of boycotts or walkouts are also equally available to members of parliament, and they both used it in various times. The NDC in 2003 used it when they were passing NHIS law. The MPP used it in 2009 during, in fact, at the appointments committee where Mohamed Mumuni was being vetted for Foreign Affairs Minister. They had issues with him in the past ministry he was before in the previous NDC era. I think it was Employment and Social Welfare, etc. There were some issues there, and he was being probed on it, and there were some issues. They walked out on him. That was an expression of what they felt. The MPP again, or the NDC, in fact, the MPP also used it recently, even in their own budget, when it was being passed, and NDC thought that they had the numbers at the time, they wanted to vote it out, etc. They walked out on their own budget. NDC used it a few days later, when they also walked out and said they were going to the Supreme Court. So it is one of the tools available to members of parliament, the same way it's a tool available to many people in various facets of society, workplaces, etc. You can go on strike and do a lot of things. Parliament, they can stage walkouts, they can boycott sittings or proceedings to register, a form of displeasure they may have. But what is different about this one? This one is different, and I won't pretend that we are all the same. Because of the responsibilities people bear, the Constitution gives people, what we call immunity. So in the judiciary, for example, the judges have immunity. Yeah, we are all equal before the law, but there are people, by virtue of the responsibilities they bear, imposed or bestowed on them by this same Constitution, they also have been given certain immunities or privileges, so they are able to undertake those jobs. That is why the president, for example, you cannot sue the president, in a civil court or in a criminal court. Yeah. You cannot sue him. He's a human being, he's equal before the law, but he has immunity. A judge has immunities. Members of parliament also have immunities. The way a bailiff can just come and serve you a court process, an originating process that, Vivian, I'm suing you, you cannot do so for a member of parliament. There are ways you do them. So these are privileges. So I won't sit here and think that, they have privileges. So they must be seen working within the confines of those privileges. Once they are working within the confines of those privileges and it's lawful, then it shifts the discussion from you can look at the morality of it. But morality is not necessarily law. So now let's look at this Judicial instance. And I think that the distinction must be made in terms of about what they are doing. I'm not sure they are doing so because they are prosecuting all of them. In fact, a year or two ago, they started a prosecution of Colin Dowda. They were not staging walkouts. They started a prosecution of Atu Forson. They were not staging walkouts, and maybe a few others. But in this Judicial matter, their view they have expressed with all head is that they think that this amounts to persecution and not prosecution. Indeed, they did not have this position when he was out of parliament. They all had problems with that. Yeah. But when the guy won an election, and you still want to be trying him daily, they think that they have a problem with that, because is that fair? There are many people who are walking about, also supposed to be standing trial. You are not interested in those ones.
Do you share in the thoughts that the daily is deliberate, or the daily, isn't it good, fast-tracking the case to get it done?
Yes. The daily may be good, but what are you telling the people of Asin? What are you telling the MP himself? Is it because he's a politically exposed person? Is it because he doesn't belong to your political party? You see, we must be seen to be fair in how we dispense justice. People have mentioned Namwan, who has taken people's monies. We hear them on radio, on TV. They say some of them have died because they've had heart attacks, they've not had money to buy drugs, etc. The guy who killed the MP, allegedly killed the MP, JB Dankwa, or his killers. Yeah. Where is that case? Nobody even knows where the case is. But that is a member of parliament killed. But the state doesn't appear so interested in that than this. So when you look at all of them, the question then becomes, is it because this guy is not a member of your party, or is it because of the way the numbers are in parliament? So when you leave it open for the public to make such inferences, then it is not a good thing. What could we have done? This guy is standing trial. A lot of other people are standing trial. Opuni, what's the name? The forest,
call it Dowda and all that.
And all of those guys are standing trial. But why is nobody talking about them in this manner? Because people think generally that the way those trials are being conducted are generally fair. Because you let them go to court maybe weekly or twice a week, maybe twice in a week. You say, okay, between 12 and 2, twice every week, Tuesday, Thursday, this is what we are doing. And that was what they did to the NCA case, etc., in Eric Cheba Force Court. I think Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 to 2 or 10 to 12. They were always there. But now this guy is a member of parliament. You are trying him daily. It means that if this is to continue, he will not be in parliament. So is it a punishment because he won the election against all odds, maybe, and so you want to deny him the opportunity of being in parliament to serve his people? Yes, a guy, I mean, the people have been denied representation for close to a year or so because Supreme Court declared that his election was not constitutional, his name should be expunged, etc. He's gone through the mill again, he's won. And so what message are you sending to the people? You know, what is J.T. Kweson's what does his being in parliament do to you? Yeah, by all means, prosecute him. Once what he has done, you think falls foul of the law, prosecute him. But let the prosecution process appear fair. And so
what are you looking at? Once a week or once?
No. You see, the courts, there's something we call case.
What will be fair?
There's what we call case management conference. The court or the judge determines how he or she manages his court. But he does so with the assistance of the lawyers. The lawyers are officers of court. The judge can say, I want to do this daily. The lawyer can say, okay, my lord, on this day, I may not be available. Or I mean, they talk. Okay. For example, the AG is a very important person in our legal system. In fact, he is the leader of the bar. So if AG, who is also supposed to be Minister for Justice, not just an Attorney General who has prosecutorial powers, but he's also Minister for Justice. So you ask yourself, what Atu Kweson, is it Atu Kweson? J.T. Kwesson is going through, is this fair? Is this just? Am I discharging my role as a Minister for Justice? Okay. Do I have to jail him at all costs? And would that be justice? So what happens every day? How will his lawyers even prepare? You are going to court every single day. Right. How will his lawyers even prepare on daily basis? And is that the only case they are doing? Daily basis to come to court. Are we looking at all of that? What happens to his parliamentary work? Because he's a member of parliament. What happens to his representational duties? How he has to deal with constituency, etc. Are we thinking about all of that? So I think, you know, so you ask what is fair. Yeah. What is fair is how the others are treated. Collins Dada is standing trial. I don't know how many times he attends court in a week. Atu Forson is standing trial. Yeah. I don't know how many times he attends court in a week. What's the name? Ernest Thompson is standing trial. I don't know how many times he attends court in a week. People have stood trials in the past. Adamu Sakandi. The two cases are quite different. But did he have to attend court every day? So when you look at, or when you do this comparison, then it is not difficult to side with people who think that, you know, the guy is being treated a certain way, especially when you look at utterances that have come from people who ought to have known better. So I think the state can do itself a lot of good by decelerating a bit. Prosecute him, yes. Once he's falling foul of the law, prosecute him. But justice must be done. But in doing justice, you know, we must see that justice is being done. When it appears that the process hasn't been fair to the person, when you even succeed in jailing the person, and rightly so, the commentary around it will not be proper. Okay. You know, so for me, that is the concern. Perjury, you said he's the chief public officer. You said he's lied, etc. on a document. Now this is a criminal process. The civil process we've seen with terminated at the Supreme Court is entirely different. The standard of proof is different. In this case, you must be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt that he actually intended to deceive the people, or he intended to lie. That is what the court must determine. It could so happen that in the end he will be found not guilty, and he will walk free. It could also happen that he will be found guilty and he will be jailed. Let the process be free and fair. That is what it is. Okay, so where we've gotten to with both parties, you know, entrenching their position, the minority is saying we are not going to back down till, you know, you do what. The court is also, I mean, the daily thing, the appeal again has been struck out. It's not happening. How do we solve the problem and move this thing? When you go to court on the basis of law. Okay, the court is a court of equity as well. You know, the law and equity, they've now flow in the same stream. But when you go to court because you want the process stayed, what is the basis for you wanting the process stayed? That is what the court will look at. So if the reason why you want the court process stayed, you know, the court doesn't see it as I don't want to say reasonable, the court will not grant it. You understand? So that the court is dealing with law, even though the court deals with equity as well. Yeah. So it's been thrown out, etc. But we know things happen. AG today could say, my lord, so and so we've considered one or two things. The guy is a member of parliament. We think that he has roles to play in the constituency. He has roles to play in parliament. Because of that, we kindly pray that you relax the days for us. Let's make it 2 times a week. It's an application to the court. The court may agree or not. The other side will decide to side with it or not. It is a discussion more or less in the court. In the end, the judge has a final say. And I'm not sure any judge, when prayed, to do this, will say, I will not do it. So I think the Attorney General has a big role to play. Okay. And you see, it is not a very simple thing to say. I mean, it's something he should be able to do. And what is even moral society? What is moral society? In Ghana, where chiefs and other people are so important, of course, sometimes we don't want their intrusion into matters like this. But somebody should be able to talk to somebody that not everything is law. Not everything is law. Okay. Somebody must talk to somebody to relax things a bit. Try him. Let him go through the process. But let the process be fair, and let the process be seen to be fair. Let me deal with the issue about parliament proper.
Okay, you will come to that. I'm sure Elvis too is referring to.
Elvis is boiling.
Elvis, calm down. We'll take a quick break. When we come, we'll look at the parliament proper on this matter, and then Elvis will wrap up on the legal part. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. Thank you so much for making time to join us. I'm here with Selim Adonu as well as Elvis Dako. We're looking at the minority boycott in Parliament over what they term persecution of their colleagues, especially Mr. Jachi Kwesen. Selim has made some interesting points. Elvis, I'll allow you to quickly respond to that. Then we'll look at the Parliament issue as in the boycott, the implications and all that.
Well, basically, the first day that I heard that they said they are going to try Jachi Kwesen on daily basis, the first question I asked is it possible to try people on daily basis in Ghana? And somebody said, I said, then why are we not trying all the high-profile corruption cases rather on daily basis? Because that is where we should focus attention. Because that is where Ghana government money is locked up, and we want to be able to establish that people took the money wrongly and want to collect the money for the state. So I said, perjury. You said somebody has lied and somebody has stolen public money. Both of them are facing court.
Somebody has even killed.
And you are interested in using daily trial for the person you said lied on a document, not stealing any public money. But those that have been accused of stealing big public money, that one they are not going. So that I was so furious that if the courts know that they can actually do daily trial, then they should set daily trial for all the alleged corruption cases that they are facing. The big government money that people have stolen and are facing the court. Those are the ones that we should be using daily trial for. Not somebody who said contested election and lied on a document. Has he stolen any public money? He hasn't stolen any public money. So the first day I got to know this, I was so furious. I spoke to lawyers. Some of them said, you can't, you see, it's a political case, so they will blame the AG. But it's the judge that sets the trial process. The judge determines how the trial. I said, then we should tell that CJ to tell all the judges sitting on corruption cases that he wants all of them to sit on those cases on daily basis. You see, we need to be able to prioritize what is important. As I said, if you ask me, it's a sad development that Jachi Kwesen is said to have broken the law, not because he stole public money, not because he killed anybody, but because he came to stand for an election and the process of renunciation is not completed. If they are trying him on that, fine, but why on daily basis? That's the question I ask. Why are we not rather applying daily trial to those who have stolen public money and in courts? That is where the daily basis cases should go. So I appeal to CJ that if it is possible to try Jachi Kwesen on daily basis, then it is my appeal that all the high-profile corruption cases in which people are accused of stealing government money should be done on daily basis. That is where we Ghanaians are interested. Our highest interest is CJ and the judges should help us recoup the stolen monies of the public. That is what we are interested in, not this idea of Jachi Kwesen. I checked and I realized Adamu Sakande's trial lasted for almost 4 years because he was actually convicted on July 27th, 2012. Just 5 months to election. That's why there was actually no by-election.
Yeah.
That's why there was no by-election. His trial actually lasted all the way to July 27, 2012. And it was less than 6 months to an election. There was no by-election. So if the court actually allowed Adamu Sakande's trial to travel to that far, what is the hurry in the Chikwesi's trial? When the ones that we should be interested in and be speeding up are the ones that people are accused of mismanaging and stealing public money.
With that in mind, doesn't it confirm the fears of the minority?
No, that's what they say. Whoever did that miscalculated. Because see, Chikwesi is a politician. So when you're handling the case, obviously you understand that there are political ramifications, and the party he belongs to also want to create public scenes and get some sympathy.
Yeah.
So that idea of daily trial, the daily trial was set a week to the vote in Asin.
Yeah.
A week to the by-election was when the decision was taken that the trial should be.
When you know the gap is an election.
No wonder you lose the election, because clearly such decisions give a credence to that perception that you are only trying to get the guy out of the seat. Because if you are trying the guy and it's a week to a by-election, then this decision comes and says, the guy will now go to court on daily basis. What do you expect the public to think? What do you expect those perceptions? You see, so they actually made those perceptions stronger. And I think it was a mistake, whether it was the judge, whether somebody told, how the decision was arrived at. The fact that the case has political angle, you should not have done that. So for me, I think that, but as I said, if it is possible for Ghanaian courts to try cases on daily basis, then I am appealing to the CG and all the judges sitting on cases in which people are accused of siphoning public money. That is where we are interested. That is the one that when you say you are going to do a daily trial, we'll be so excited and happy. Because then when you want to collect our money for us, in case the person is found guilty, we'll get some money back to the state coffers. So for me, if it is possible, all of us in the media and Ghanaians should put pressure on the CJ and the judges so that we can do daily trials for all the corruption-related cases. And leave this, somebody lied on a paper to contest an election, to go to court maybe every 2 weeks. Okay. So that he can have time to do his constituency work. If at the end of whatever the court decide, we are not much interested in the Chikwesi's case, for me, if you ask me.
You want the corruption, let the people stealing the money and all this. Is it too late to change this 1 week thing? Can somebody get involved?
It's never too late. The court always makes decisions. The court always makes decisions. The court can make up its mind on the matter. Lawyers can get up and pray the court. The court can look at it. The court can change its mind on some matters when you follow the right process. So it's not too late at all. Okay. And I think the people involved must ensure that this is remedied. Twice a week, once a week, it's not bad. The guy is an MP. He must deal with the matters in the House of Parliament. He must deal with matters of his constituents. That's why he's been elected. Whether we like it or not, that guy has been elected. Let me make a point about this call by the majority guys, etc. Yeah. I think it's a hypocritical call that because the minority guys have boycotted Parliament, government business cannot be carried out. Article 102 talks about quorum on normal things. 1/3 of the House. 1/3 of the House will bring the number to about 91 or 92 MPs. MPP has 137, 138 MPs. If they're able to marshal that number to Parliament, will anybody complain? It's because they have not been able to marshal their own numbers to Parliament.
Which is the point Governors made yesterday.
That is why now they are blaming these people. What it means is that the minority now feels important, and they feel that what they are doing is biting. Why are they also doing so? You think if it was the last Parliament, where the numbers were far apart, they wouldn't have done this, because you do this, nobody even listen to you. Yeah. You will not even be in the house to make noise, to draw attention to things. Because they know that their numbers, in fact, all the Chikwesi matters, they are issues of numbers. And we saw this right from the night, the eve of the swearing and all of that. It's all a numbers game. You can't say that because the minority guys are not coming, that's why government business is suffering. Your own people, what has happened to them? You fail to do your job because you are government. You deal with government business. And your leader is also the leader of government business. If you people who have formed the government are unable to deal with the government, why are you blaming somebody? It is not in the interest of the minority for government to pass all these things, even though we all want Ghana to be built. But we know how politicians think. If you do so well, you remain in power and I'll never come. So if I can do something to frustrate you, I'll do it. And now you have given them a reason to do it. And they've seen that it's biting. So they will continue doing it till people talk. And we have big people in this country. chiefs and all big people in this country. They should be able to make calls. I read somewhere that, some chief called somebody. That's why they stopped making calls for some minister to resign.
Or they say it's a fake.
Well, I don't know, but I know chiefs.
So you believe
chiefs
that?
have
Yes, you believe that the majority should marshal the numbers. You support in what the minority has been.
No, but let me add to that. With the Supreme Court ruling on quorum, it meant that if the MPP MPs, everybody is in Parliament, they can pass it.
They can work.
Because the ruling of the Supreme Court is that if the first deputy speaker, the second deputy speaker joins the majority side, it means that they have formed a quorum and can take any decision. The problem they have is that because presidential primaries are going on,
they're all over the place.
A lot of them are all over the place campaigning for their favorite candidates.
Yeah.
And
so
now you've left the business.
So they want the minority rather to be in Parliament.
It's not their interest to do it.
You understand it?
So
they want the minority rather to come and do
It's
the
not their
work for them
interest.
while
So why
they
would they
campaign
come?
in their primary. And
Why
so
would they come?
now, so if you are blaming the
Interesting.
minority, you are going to rather draw attention to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what they have
The
done.
minority
Yeah.
are rather giving you a free way.
Yes.
Minority are rather giving government free hand and pass
Do
all your bills,
whatever you
all
want.
your bills that you want to pass. Because the Supreme Court has decided that minus the entire minority, if all the 137 comes to Parliament, it forms a quorum to take a decision. So what is happening now, if all the MPP MPs will be in Parliament, the NDC says, we have given you the free will to pass all the bills you want to pass. But they can't do it because they are all out there campaigning for their favorite presidential candidates for an election. That is why they are complaining about the quorum in Parliament. In fact, the NPP should be happy that the NDC is boycotting Parliament at this point. In fact, if the NPP is smart and they want to, they should drag the Judicial in daily trial
And bring all the
controversial bills and pass them.
Unfortunately, they have to campaign for people.
So you see how the parliamentarians are handling us. Some are campaigning for their preferred presidential candidates, so they don't have time to come to Parliament. Others are also defending their colleague in court, so they also not go to Parliament. The nation's progress and work that's supposed to be done now is suffering because they are actually, that's what they are sending a signal to Ghanaians that they are in Parliament for their personal interest, not the interest of the Ghanaians.
Not the law of self-preservation.
You understand it? This is the message you are sending. I want my favorite presidential candidate to win, so I'm following him to campaign, so I won't come to Parliament. And this is a you people take the Parliament, pass all the bill. They say no, it is presidential primaries, so I'm following my favorite candidate, so I'm not going to Parliament. And then you are there shouting that it is rather the problem of the minority. And the minority also say, no, if you are persecutor, we think you are persecutor, which won't come. So the work of Parliament has been suspended. But these people are being paid to do a work. That's what I'm saying that, you see, we need to be able to put the law that any day that an MP doesn't come to Parliament, he must lose part of the salary. You see, people just take advantage of. Someone say it's part of a democracy. Please, but it doesn't mean that you don't work, you will not be paid.
No, it's part
you
of,
should
it's
be
part,
paid.
It's part of
No, they should never be paid for not working. If you want
But
to
who said
protest,
they are not working?
it is your freedom to protest, but you should not be paid for not working.
No, but
I work for a private enterprise.
No, but who said they are not working?
If I don't go to
quality
work, I will not be paid. Why do we hide behind constitution and government because it is called consolidated funds, so there's some humongous money there to be paying people so they will not work and be paid. We should be able to, you see, we should be able to put some clauses there. If you miss Parliament every day, it should be deducted from your salary.
Okay.
So that people will know that there is a consequences for boycotting or going to campaign for a presidential candidate or going to your own business street and abandoning the work of Parliament.
It will be interesting
Okay,
what happens when Kenneth Furata goes to read the media budget review. Whether the NDC MPs will be there, whether they will also be there for the debate, because I think the debate will be important to them so they can say things.
But if that
I'll
day there's
see
no
if
court.
yes, well, this is every day.
Yeah.
So it remains to be seen whether they will go to the court or not.
Or not.
But we will see, and that's where we will draw where their priorities will lie,
Okay,
really.
guys, we will move on and go to the retrieval of government lands by the Lands Ministry, and the discussion has been over the employment of a private person to do the work. Questions around why is the security agencies not doing that if we want to claim the lands, and why is a private security firm, quote unquote, doing that and all that. Salom, let me start with it. Is it right to bring in a private person in the first place to retrieve lands for government when there's a clear rules or institutions?
The question is who is this private individual? What expertise does he have? What does he work with? Does he work with security? Is he a security man? And if it's a security person, he's working for the state. The state also has security agencies under it. Why can't the state do it? Because when they are going, sometimes they go with police and military.
Yeah.
They lead police and military to the place. This same company went to do some work a few years ago at UPSA, where they went to demolish some places and clear the place and all of that. They went with, and me pass. They went with military and they went with police. So if they would need military and police to do the work, why don't you use the military and police yourself? Straight. What's the point in contracting a private individual? And you see, and how is he paid? He is paid a percentage of the land he retrieves. You understand that? If he retrieves maybe 10 acres, I don't know the percentage, but he's giving some percentage. Sometimes they say they split it half. I mean, giving some good percentage.
And this is based on what rule?
And the question is, and these are prime land, government lands, prime lands, cantonments, Impasa, Miss Ligonex, these are prime lands. And when he does this, I do not know. But how we have come to know things work in Ghana, you think he will take all those lands alone and leave the one who gave him the job? It speaks to the failure of the state to do its own work. Now they are making the professor who went to expose or went to
That's
drop
the chief director.
The chief director of the
who went to drop
ministry.
the filler or the information as like he's on his own. But we all know this. We all know this, and it's hypocritical for us to behave as if we didn't know this. We know this. We know we know the man. We know what he does. That is what he does, and he has the backing of the state to do it. Sometimes people come to complain to you, say, who is behind it? Say, this guy. Then you have nothing to do really, because you know that person doing it has a backing of the state. Why should the state invest so much power in this person? And they say he's not a land guard. What is he? Who is he? What powers does he have? What authority does he have? Why must he be using the security forces or agencies to be doing that? It is wrong. And you see, when we do that, then we legitimize the actions of land guards. And so when somebody at Botiano says a land guard and he does something, you go and arrest him. But the state itself can empower somebody to do something that is illegal. There's a way you retrieve government lands. There's a way you use the security agencies. Sue the people in court. The court gives an order. Let the people move from the place. Private people do so every day. Why will you go and empower him that way? He goes up doing things, spoiling things. And who are you going to report to? Yeah. It is most unfortunate. So it's a pity that the police and the military and all of them are now running helter-skelter, trying to explain themselves, say that they don't use. I mean, it's we know what it is, and we know their company. That is what they do. Oh.
Please, I want to ask, under what law is the company registered, and what are its duties? Because in the financial sector, we have what we call asset recovery companies. But we know regulatory institutions that license them, for which reason they are able to do the recovery of assets. But if somebody is registering a company to retrieve lands, the question is, which aspect of our laws permit all these things? It must be an oversight. But you see, this is the problem I have. The man went to speak to the Parliamentary Select Committee. And the best the Parliamentary Select Committee would do is to bring the information to the public for media to publish. The Parliamentary Committee could not demand that. We want to investigate that company.
But they've asked him to bring
documents. We
documents.
Want to establish, the company should come and face us. We want to find out the company's registration. We want to know under which law was the company registered to operate. Which people actually signed the contract with this particular company. So that at the end of the day, the committee can tell all Ghanaians that the company is legitimately or illegitimately operating. But all these issues that we should be dealing with is under the cover. And we are only talking about, a private company. Can you imagine a state, a country like Ghana? We have the police, we have military, we have all kinds of national security, all kinds of security agencies. And we are saying that not Elvis Dako's land or private land. We are talking about the land that is belonging to the state of Ghana. And we are saying that we are unable to use the police, we are unable to use national security, we are unable to use military, we are able to use all the structures available to be able to retrieve the land. We are even unable to use the courts to be able to retrieve the land. But we are able to retrieve the land by using a private company. See, it always marks of a whole systemic failure. And that systemic failure has serious implications for the ordinary person. If the state has to use private company to retrieve its land, who will Vivian Loco use if somebody is trying to take her land away from her? You will go and report to the police. The police are not able to recover the land for the state. The state has to go for a private company to come and recover land. So if you, the private individual, your land is being forcibly taken away from you, who are you going to rely on? So clearly, this clearly tells us that this is why we are unable to fight the land guard system in the country. Because the security apparatus that we are supposed to be relying on to fight them, the state of Ghana says those institutions are unable to deliver. So it's now relying on a private company to do the job. So if ordinary citizens are having those problems and go and report to the police, what it means is that it's an exercise in futility. So it meant that the ordinary Ghanaian has no help if it comes to land matters, which is dangerous. See, because land is a serious economic asset. Because for some families, a plot of land is all that they will survive on for the rest of their lives. Because that is where they get farm produce and they are able to survive. And then somebody is taking their entire livelihood from them with force. And then the security apparatus you are supposed to rely to help you, the state says they are not capable. So it means that when you take your case there, it's a lost case. This is a serious national security matter that we should deal with. And I think that the opportunity has been presented to us as a nation with this Parliamentary Select Committee briefing. It's about time that we sit back and decide that no, this thing should not be allowed to continue. That contract with the private person should be terminated. The security apparatus must be taxed to be able to deliver and become effective so that the ordinary citizens like us can go there and get justice. I said it here. A colleague of mine, we are all tenants in the same house. Bought land from state housing. Receipt. Went to the property fraud unit because somebody
still not been able to.
The real estate has already built on the land.
Wow. Because
the property fraud unit of the police at the end of the day says, where it is gotten to, we don't think we can help you, go to court. But she is the one that is having receipt covering this land. And the document from Lands Commission also shows that the land actually belongs to state housing. But somebody has been able to use force because it's in the real estate business and knows how to use land guard to terrify people. And you run away and they'll take the land. So the person has successfully taken the land. So you will see what the ordinary Ghanaian is going through. We have no help. Because the state says, what the state, and it is a fact that if you rely on the state security, and when it comes to land matters, the possibility of you getting that land for yourself is about 10% over 100. Okay. So majority will lose their land to these people. This is what the land guards do. What this company is doing is how the land guards operate. They have people that will scare you away from your land. And they know that when you go to police and they will not come and do anything.
So how do we move forward with this matter?
This is why that's what I'm saying. That there should be a parliamentary a probe into this issue. It's not only about the ministry going to meet the committee. Now we have clear evidence that there is a systemic problem and that the parliamentary committee should set up a probe and look at the entire issue and then give us a certain concrete response to this. But it's like we are jangling the issue in the media and we'll just talk about it and then tomorrow another issue will come and that will be the end of the issue. And then ordinary people will keep suffering in silence. That is what is being done to the ordinary person.
Salem, how do we solve this issue?
The people have a contract with government. They say, this. I'm quoting them, Citi Newsroom, 6 September 2019. We have a contract with the state. We signed this contract in 2017, I think. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources signed for the government of Ghana. And the contract essentially said that we should identify all government lands that have been encroached upon and reclaim them for government. This is what they are saying. This is the contract they say they have. The ministry and co are saying they don't really have any contract like that. What they're trying to do is play around words, that they have not contracted any land guard. The person won't come and say, I am called a land guard or I am a land guard. But let's look beyond however they call them. They may call themselves fancy names. But what do? What they do, is it same as what so-called land guards do? If that is the case, then they are laggards. If it sounds like a duck, works like a duck, then it is a duck. That is how we must start. And if government has a contract with them to undertake this exercise, which is illegal, then that contract is an illegal contract. Government shouldn't be entering into illegal contracts. I'm happy. I hear Parliament, the committee asked the chief director, the Professor Besinyale guy, to provide or produce the contract document they have with the guy. And this 2019 report I'm reading from Citi Newsroom, saying that the guys are saying they have a contract, and the chief director has confirmed that. So nobody should come and tell us that the guys have no contract. They've been working all over the place.
They've been working
They've
for
been
a
working
while.
all over, and they are very ruthless in how they do their job, because they are paid based on the job they do. So they don't want to go home empty-handed. So they will work and work ruthlessly. No matter what you tell, they won't hear. Once they know that this is their place, they will do whatever, because their life depends on that. That is how we reduce ourselves to. Let's see the contract. Let them make it public. Let's not interrogate their matters. And if indeed this is what government is doing, then it is very shameful, to say the least.
Okay.
But I think government admitted in their statement that Lands Commission actually contracted the company.
Yes, but they failed to admit that they are laggards.
You understand? No, you see,
They
and that's
don't
why
want
the
to
last
use the
time,
word landguard.
the article of the land law, the land guard law that you read, which shows that even if it's my land and somebody is using force to take it and I go there with weapon, I'm a land guard. How the law was written.
Yeah.
So if you are using private company to also go and chase land, the law that the Ghana government has passed and the description it gives to land guard, it meant that that company is doing the same thing that the law says is illegal. It doesn't matter whether the state has actually given them a contract.
They are very ruthless.
Because the law says that if you use any weapon to go and protect the land, it doesn't say that whether the land is yours or not. You are a land guard. Per the description of that Land Guard Act. Salem read it the last time. So you see, this country, that's what I'm saying, that elsewhere,
People are running.
this issue would be a big issue, because you see, many people have lost their lands to and you see, what people are doing, that's how real estate, those so-called private real estate companies, that is the strategy.
They all have security
That's the
units.
same way
So they'll come to your place, they'll
That's
take
the
over the
same
place. There's the old lady has a small farm. just in Accra here.
I shouldn't be laughing.
They took
but-
over the place. The old lady who comes there to farm small, the big estate took over the place, and they built big things there, very big. And the minister recently went there to commission the place. But this old lady whose farm has been trying
So that's her rightful land.
yes, she's lost it.
Oh.
This man is about to, she's lost it. Has nobody to talk for her.
Wow.
Forever she'll be in pain.
Yeah.
She may even die out of that pain.
Yeah.
And we want God to be blessing us. It's not correct.
Gentlemen, we have to end it on that sad note. Elvis Daku, finder, editor, and then Salam Adonu works with us here at Citi FM and Citi TV, host of The Big Issue on Saturdays. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again next week. My name is Vivian Kai Loko. Goodbye.